Paddy Power, sponsors of the Road to Cheltenham.
Hi everyone, welcome to Road to Cheltenham. Something a bit different, as we always do on this Thursday prior to the Cheltenham Festival. We're going to have a chat with many of the main protagonists in one way or another next week. This is a show I really enjoy, just not as sort of pontificating about form and weighing up this form line against that form line, but actually sort of getting under the skin of things.
Under the stories.
Yeah.
Lots of the people probably that aren't in the limelight but are still part of the story.
Yeah, there's some really, really interesting stories coming up in the next 90 minutes, so it's a bumper edition of the show. We should have a quick chat about some news that has happened today because there are a few things that are going on. Mighty Park is heading towards the Supreme. He's not in the Turners anymore. Do you think that's going to have any knock-on effects?
No, I'd say pretty much Willie left in the Supreme, the likes of King Rasco, Gray, etc. I suppose talk maybe was left in both, but Joseph looks like he's pretty keen to run him in the Supreme, and I don't know, I would tend to listen to the person training the horse, so if Joseph is keen to run him in the Supreme, I think that's where he'll go. He looks like about the only one that's 50-50 for a novice hurdle, doesn't he?
I suspect there are a few of them, still got different ways
but
to
are
jump.
they main players or are they horses at prices that are a bit of value that are looking for the weaker option to see if they can nick a place? I don't know if there's anything you'd really fancy in one or the other that you don't kind of know where it's going.
One significant bit of bad news today for Harry Fry and his team, Idaho's Son not making the Supreme. It's a real shame because I think he'd got a chance of running a big one. He
had, and probably didn't get the credit he deserves for winning the Talworth at entry on Boxing Day. Everyone talking about the hurdles being out and would my daddy Paddy have won or not. Well, Idaho's Son had to gallop around him as well and he still won the race. But look, hopefully it's not a long-term omission and he'll be back.
And this is the sort of the time where things are rife with speculation, and so people are sort of pouring over the betting markets. A couple of moves today. So there seems to be some strength in Lossiemouth for the Champion Hurdle, which Richie raised the possibility. He's had a conversation with the team at Skelton about cheek pieces potentially if she were to run in the Champion Hurdle. Wood, who's been quite strong and backed in the Mares Hurdle. Does that, from your perspective, knowing what you know about Willie Mellors, does that signify that a decision has been made or not?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Do you think he hasn't thought about it yet?
Oh, he's thought about it, but I wouldn't say he's decided. And he won't decide, because even this morning, will he leave Mighty Park in the Turners or not? Well, what can go wrong? What do we need to leave him in for?
Yeah, it was unusual, the decision.
Yeah, the decision, and it was, as David said to him, well, whatever goes wrong, if he's going to miss Tuesday, he's going to miss Wednesday. So out he comes. But that is how Willie leaves it. And I would imagine he hasn't made a decision about Lossiemouth. He probably won't until Saturday night, Sunday morning. Cheek pieces have been toyed with.
Has she worked in them?
I think she has, yeah. I wasn't there on Tuesday, but I think she did. But she never struck me as an animal to want the cheek pieces. I think she had 15 chances to back out of it in the Champion Hurdle at Leopardstown behind Brighter Days Ahead, yet she kept plugging. I think she's as honest as the day is long, and I don't think cheek pieces will work.
But I thought you horsemen are always telling us that cheek pieces aren't necessarily signifying a dishonest horse,
I don't think I ever told you that.
No, you probably didn't.
Thank you.
OK. So you can't have
Other people might have, but I think you put cheek pieces on a horse that's not concentrating or not doing it, and I think she gives her all every day. So
you couldn't see the angle of helping her to focus and get some pace and ride her positively in the Champion Hurdle?
I think she's a really kind filly. I watch her there in the mornings. She turns up, she's kind, she wears her heart on her sleeve. Look, maybe they will work, but I'd be probably slow to put them on something that I think is as genuine as Lossiemouth.
And finally, more significantly perhaps, or something that might tell us a lot more, the size of the drift for Romeo Coolio in the Arkle when he's got alternative targets in the Ryanair and also in the Brown Advisory. What are you thinking about that?
I would be surprised if he went Ryanair, personally, maybe Brown Advisory. I do think when you look at him, and I could see the merit in running him possibly in a Brown Advisory. I know he's won 2 Grade 1s at Leopardstown, over 2 miles and 1, but he wouldn't have won either until the last 100 yards. All right, he got the better at Carrigmornaspruce at the last day, so I stand corrected on that one. But he was struggling in both races at the second last fence. And I think when you tried to compare Leopardstown over fences to the Arkle, you need to be winning at the second last fence. He wouldn't have won either race at that point. and I could see the merit in running them in a different race, and I would probably be the Brown Advisory. Settling them might be a bit of an ask now after blitzing them over 2 miles the last twice, but I could see why Connections would be thinking maybe we should be changing.
And is it the strength of the Arkle, the confidence behind Kopek de Board after 2 schooling sessions, Lilamba proving himself in the game spirit and the drying conditions?
Or maybe just assessing your own horse.
Usually the best way to do it.
I think so.
Right, well, we're going to hear a number of people assessing their own horses during the course of this show, and the horse that we've just been speaking about, Romeo Coolio, features directly in the second part, but also indirectly for the first people that we're going to talk to. And they are the trainers, Eddie and Patrick Harty of Irish Panther, who gave Romeo Coolio a right fright over Christmas. This horse is entered in both the Arkle and the Queen Mother Champion Chase. There is Romeo Coolio when he was younger. We're going to hear from his breeder, Will Kinsey. I'm really looking forward to speaking to Will. He's done most things in the sport. And we have Erika Peciulyte. What does it feel like to take a horse like Teahupoo to the festival 5 times? We're going to find out directly. Declan Queally has had an amazing season. His first Grade 1 success in the plate when winning the Nace Group 1 on Grade 1 on I'll Sort That. Tristan Durrell's had a fantastic season, notably in the Coral Gold Trophy, and he's got some significant rides for the Skeltons this week. And Kelly Morgan, her horse Music Drive, won the Jonathan Neeson Memorial Cup, and we speak to her about the Foxhunters later on. She's already won at Aintree. Can she add Cheltenham to her tally? But as I mentioned, we're going to now be joined by our first guests, who are Eddie and Patrick Harty. They're responsible for Irish Panther, and they join us now. Welcome, both of you, to the show. It's so kind of you to join us. Thank you very much. Lydia. Obviously, first question, have you made your decision yet?
No.
Straight answer to a straight question.
We're hoping you can make it for us.
Oh, no, don't trust us.
I want to know who makes the decision and what happens if it's 50-50, who has the cast and vote.
Sorry, say again, Ruby?
I'd like to know who makes the decision, and if it comes down 50-50, who actually has the cast and vote.
There isn't one. It might come down to our mother. I don't know. We haven't got that far yet.
Mary probably gets the casting vote.
Well, take us through the decision-making process then with Irish Panther. You know, what are you weighing up in your minds, the Arkle versus the Queen Mother Champion Chase?
There are a few things, Lydia. The first is for the champion, the horse's age. He's 9. That's an age at which he should be out of novice company instead of going into it. That's a big factor in his jumping and his speed. They would put you in favour of the champion, leaving aside opposition. And the Arkle is the obvious one because he's a novice, and you know it's a Grade 1. It's a championship race at his division. It's probably what you should be going for.
But the Arkle looks particularly strong this year, doesn't it? Even if Romeo Coolio decides to exit stage right for the Brown Advisory, you've still got Kopek de Board, you've still got Lilamba. How much does that feature in your thinking?
It features a lot. There are rivals that you would respect massively, as you would respect everything in the champion chase. It's just about getting down to the nitty-gritty of where are there holes in what you're going to take on and where are the strengths of our horse going to play best to his hand. Obviously, both races are over the same course and distance, same number of fences. Possibly the ground will be a touch quicker on Wednesday. But really it comes down to how we think he'll take on the opposition in both races, and the fact that his age, he is 9, he's probably at the best he's going to be now. Oh, maybe he'll be the same again next year, maybe he'll be better again next year, but he's in a great place now, and there's a chance that he could have a really competitive chance of winning a champion chase now. Who's to say he'll have the same next year? So that's just one of the reasons we're having a serious think about things.
And that now, was that to do with Marine Nationale coming out?
Partly only. It is a big factor in the decision that, you know, Majbur is a worthy favourite, but, you know, he was exemplary at Leopardstown, but before that, his jumping hadn't been as accurate as it was at Leopardstown. Is that a thing that's behind him, or is it going to raise his head again? Marine Nationale, I'm sorry for Barry, it was hard luck on him. But, to me, and this is only my opinion, he was looking like a horse that possibly needed to step up at this stage. John Bond, I still think he'll end up going 2.5. So while it's a championship race and it was a handicap, we're very, very badly in. There's holes you can pick in most of them if you want to. Probably including Arkle, the fact that he's only had 2 runs over fences, but it does weigh with us.
What would you believe are Irish Panther strengths
in the first place?
If you're going to weigh them up?
Because, the champion chase is just, particularly in the last 15 years, it's the first race always that starts to sort of fall apart's the wrong word, but it opens up. Horses fall by the wayside and things go wrong.
Yeah.
We said we'd stick him in the race on day one to give ourselves that option. It just happens to be that Marine Nationale is the horse that's come out first. But that's why we put him in the first place.
What do you think are Irish Panther's strengths?
Speed and jumping.
So would you be prepared to take on Masborough, who speed and jumping would suit? Would you look at it that you'd be helping Masborough, whereas you might be putting novices under pressure with speed and jumping?
Possibly. Kieran Buckley said that this morning, that the only bit of light he wanted to shed on it was that we would be able to put pressure on novices jumping. But Masborough, you would say his main Achilles heel is his jumping. So if we're sitting upsides him, not that we're going out to put pressure on anything in any race, we're just going to ride our horse as he is sort of suitable to be ridden on the day. But if we were sitting upside Masborough, I'd like to think that we could jump every bit as fast as him and maybe put him under a bit of pressure.
Let's show everybody at home an example of that speed and jumping, and when you gave Romeo Coolio a right fright over Christmas. What are your reflections on this race?
We should stop that video 100 yards earlier.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
For me, he didn't get beaten as much as outstayed at Leopardstown. He looked all over the winner going to the last, all over at the back of it, and in credit to the horse that he kept plugging away as well as he did to only be half a length down at the line. But he looks what you imagine a 2-mile chaser to be, a fast, slick jumper with plenty of pace, but not much stamina.
He's just sitting in second here behind Westport Cove. He's got Romeo Coolio just on his inside, and he starts to put pressure on Romeo Coolio's jumping as the race develops.
Yeah, you could see Romeo Coolio on this day was kind of always just racing outside his comfort zone. But when Irish Panther, he absolutely winged that open ditch. Kieran let him roll forward, and Westport Cove, who's a very, very fast horse and had been a tearaway on a couple of occasions, was just left for dead. He made a mistake there. I think our horse was doing 35 miles per hour now and an 11.5 second to furlong. 11.5 seconds for the 3-pole to the 2-pole. So remarkably fast in a championship race on that ground.
And it was a lovely ride as well from Kieran, wasn't it? Really playing to his mount's strength.
Yeah, it was a super ride. There was nothing he could do from this point home. He was outstayed to the line. But I was watching it again there, and the one thing that did strike me was the horses got very relaxed in the last year, and he didn't go to the front as much as jump his way to the front. And I remember my father always used to say, and Ruby would probably agree, if you're gaining lengths jumping, don't give them back.
I would completely agree with that. So what ultimately will make your decision for you?
Again, it's what rumours come out, where we are feeling. I'm still kind of leaning towards the Arkle simply because he's a novice. The one thing I don't like looking is stupid, and I managed to put myself in that boat plenty of times. But the championship race, for the brave man, he'd go that route. I don't know if I will or not. The one thing that is putting a lot of credence to that view is time and time alone. You know, he won at his ease in Leopardstown in exactly the same time as Henry's horse that won the Grade 3, who was all out.
Only by night.
And in Leopardstown, he was 6 seconds faster than Sonless the following day over the same trip in the same ground. So he's not slow.
No, he absolutely isn't. He really isn't. Well, tell me about the backstory of this horse, because obviously originally he was with Edward O'Grady.
Yeah, so Brian Whelan came up with the idea originally that he had noticed this trend that's been appearing the last number of years, that a lot of these Grade 3s and Grade 2s that are run at the big meetings don't have big fields, and often they only have 3 or 4 runners. And Brian, being the sporting man that loves to take part and throw on his best fur coat at a big race day, said, like, why can't we find a horse that can be somewhat competitive in these races, bring us to the big days, we can enjoy them, and if we start with a pot and play our cards right, we'll hopefully hope that still have that pot at the end of the year, and maybe even add to it with place prize money here and there. So it was a good idea. He brought his friend Jen in, and we went looking for a horse that would suit that sort of bill. Initially, they had been looking at 9-year-olds and the odd 10-year-old that had been there and done it and was on the way down, maybe still rated 140 or 135. And they were making a lot of money, and sort of their budget wasn't quite meeting what they were looking for, or what they were looking at. So I had been sort of looking outside the parameters that they had set. And in an online sale in October last year was Irish Panther. And the more you went into his form, the more incredible it looked. Second to Factifile, third to Ballyburn, second to Farron Glory, Daddy Longlegs, Alga Sparrow. He even had Rebecca Curtis's horse, Haiti Colores, behind him in a point-to-point. Just the depth of form was incredible. But he had bled on his last run, only finished 7th. So we did a bit of homework, made plenty of inquiries. Everyone told us huge engine, but there are problems. You know, if you can sort them out, he's going to be a good horse. But if you can't, sure, you might end up with egg on your face. So in fairness to Brian and Jen, they rolled in, increased the budget a bit, and we haven't looked back since.
And how have you managed to address those problems? Have you had any recurrence at all of it?
No, touch wood, he's been really good. Touchwood has been really good. Just never goes in a stable, and don't over race him. That's pretty much the crux of it.
Okay.
I'd say he's enjoyed the winter, living in the rain in Ireland, because it hasn't been dry much.
It's been a tough winter now to trying to manage them, yeah.
Clearly you're part of a great equestrian dynasty, and between the two of you, you made some history as well, didn't you? Weren't you the first joint trainers, licence holders in Ireland when you took that out together?
Yes, yeah. Thank you. It took 10 years of work, I have to add, and I was very disappointed we didn't get there before you, but they eventually came around to it, and Patrick had come back to Henderson's, so we went ahead with it. I mean, you know, Patrick might have been happy enough not on the licence, but at the end of the day, you don't get a whole lot out of this at times, except a bit of notoriety here and there, and people like that, so we decided to run with it. And it's very, very expensive to even thinking about starting up on your own in this day and age. I mean, with the best will in the world, you're not going to get much change out of $1 million to start up.
But I would imagine it would mean a great deal to you, Eddie. I mean, you know what it feels like to train a Cheltenham Festival winner in Captain CB in the Supreme. To do so with your son would be amazing, wouldn't it? It would be.
Like, I was lucky enough to, well, my father bought Captain CB as a foal, so he must take a lot of the credit. But he was my first runner in England, first runner at Cheltenham, and he did it. I thought it was easy in those days. And, you know, Irish Panther has an awful lot of similarities to Captain CB. He's tremendously fast. big engine and prone, or was prone, to a little bit of beating. So it's kind of all coming around full circle here, but I would be absolutely over the moon to win one there with Patrick, and that'd put a second Harty on the Cheltenham Road of Honour.
And he was such a tremendous horse, went on to win a Grade 1 as a novice chaser, third in the Queen Mother Champion Chase, ended up over hurdles. Fantastic horse. You mentioned your late father, and I was sorry to read that you lost your mum and your dad in quick succession, but we should celebrate Eddie and everything that he achieved in the sport. I mean, the whole dynasty is fantastic. What was it that you most learned from your parents?
Probably resilience from Dad. And luckily enough, both myself and Patrick got more of her looks than his, so we give her the credit for those. But you know, Dad was a very clever man in his own way, and while I have to admit to all and sundry that his favourite topic was himself, you know, if you listen to him with the edit button on your head, they were very wise words, particularly with regard to horses and buying of them.
And he was an Olympian eventer. He won the Grand National on Highland Wedding. But I noted that when you were talking about him, that he did a lot of work for the sport behind the scenes. What was it that he did that was so important for the sport?
Well, he was on first. The first thing he did, like I say, I'm going to tell you all these things, Lydia, but some of them are from his own mouth, so they mightn't be 100% accurate historically. But as far as I know, he was the first man to bring the helmets in, the Caliente helmets from America. They came in, and he was at the coalface when the IJF was started. When he retired from racing, he did an awful lot behind the scenes for the betterment of the staff and the trainers. There was a benevolent fund set up. He was instrumental in getting the novice season before Ruby was riding, up to about, I'd say, the early 80s. The Irish season began on the 1st of January and ended on the 31st of December, which was right in the middle of it. It was craziness. So they eventually relented and matched the English system and the novice system as well. So he did a lot more besides, but that's a good bit to go on with.
Wow. Well, how instrumental to the sport.
I can't believe he thinks that I would have been watching in the early 80s. I was only born in 79.
You should have seen the flash of insultedness that went across
But
his face.
I do remember Frank Berry beating Brendan Sheridan in the Jockeys Championship that ended on the 31st of December. So I do remember that. And it was a ridiculous thing that people like Eddie Harty had to fight hard to get changed around.
But so many other important things that he clearly done
Massively.
as well. Well, thank you to you both for sparing the time to talk to us. Best of luck in making that decision. I mean, we're absolutely rooting for you. It's such a fabulously talented horse, and I'm sure he'll do you proud, whichever race you run in. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. Before we go, can we turn the thing around and ask you questions for a second?
Go for it.
Ruby, firstly, you've more experience around there than anywhere. When does it ride quicker, Tuesday or Wednesday normally, in a normal year?
It will depend on what happens on Tuesday. If you get a spate of fallers on Tuesday, they'll water it heavily Tuesday night and you'll get slow ground on Wednesday.
That hasn't happened for a while, though.
No, but that's usually what happens. They'll water it slow because they will have it slow on Tuesday. So therefore it should dry to Wednesday. But with the way the weather's been, if they don't put enough on and you get quick times and a faller or two, it'll be slower on Wednesday.
And same question to both of you. You've asked us which one we go for. Which one do you go for?
I run them in the novice, but I would be novice for novice, so...
Yeah, I think it's... I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think it's a really tricky decision. You laid out all the things that I would be thinking about. I'd be thinking about his age. I think the race has kind of fallen apart, the Queen Mother Champion Chase around Mashborough. There is always the possibility that his jumping problems creep back in. But then I can also see the persuasive case for sticking amongst novices as well, particularly if Lulamber gets a bit too far back early, Kopek de Boer's inexperience shows and he makes a mistake, and it's just you and Carrigmornaspruce potentially left. you know, I'm sorry, but I'm going to sit on the fence. I think that I can see the pros and cons whichever way you go, and I think it'll be quicker on the 2 days. I think it'll be quicker on the Wednesday, personally.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it wasn't a good enough answer. I can only apologise.
That's quite all right.
But it was a long-winded one.
It was definitely that. It was definitely that. Thank you very much to you both. Thanks for joining us this evening. That was very interesting, wasn't it?
Interesting people.
Yeah, they're very much so. Lovely people as well. We are joined now, or shortly we will be anyway, by Will Kinsey. He is the breeder of Romeo Coolio, but he's done pretty much everything in this sport so far. He's been an amateur jockey. He's assisted Donald McCain, and Donald trained a festival winner when he was assisting him. He's been a trainer in his own right. Now he's a breeder of increasing note, as well as a pinhooker and a consigner at Peel Hall Farm in Cheshire. I mean, Will Kinsey has done a lot of this sport, but Romeo Coolio is one of the greatest.
It is, but I doff my cap to breeders, because that is a labour of love.
Now, you've recently dipped your toe into that, haven't you?
Yeah, and got lucky with the mare that I ended up being a part shareholder in, but being Game of Legs, who we actually bought Carrie in our trigger, who runs in the bumper, and bred Gaelic Warrior, but that is a labour of love. There is no doubt about it. Between going and foal and not going and foal, and straight foals and crooked foals, and everything that can go wrong, and especially the way it's gone in the breeding industry. I notice it, I only dip my toe in it now, but like, even, and we'll see what Will says, like, but nominations are getting so dear, and stallions are so fashionable. When you send a mare to a stallion, especially National Hunt, by the time it's a 3-year-old, the stallion you could have gone to could be as cold as the snow.
Yeah.
It's a tricky game.
And has it given you a different perspective?
Oh yeah, I'd be looking at Willie Mullins thinking, what is he doing running him in that race? Because you're now
because the jockey wants him there.
The jockey wants him there, but the breeder's thinking, geez, would you not put him in the one he might win? But look, hey, that's, I guess, the way breeders have looked at racing for years. And I know I would have met breeders when I was riding, and I was thinking, look, you sold it, you're out of the system. And we did sell it, we are out of the system, but it doesn't mean you don't have a vested interest.
So, Will, you'll be delighted to hear that Ruby much more understands the way that you're feeling. I want to know how you're feeling at the moment with Romeo Coolio about to do you proud, hopefully, at the Cheltenham Festival, whichever race he runs in.
Yeah, well, look, really exciting. Fortunately, we've been there before. You know, he was second in his bumper there, and he was third there last year. So he's been knocking on the door a couple of times already. But yeah, really exciting to see where he goes, if he goes, I suppose. But yeah, look, this is the kind of thing that all breeders are hoping that they achieve when they start breeding, and to do it so early in our sort of breeding career, as it were, is amazing.
So with your breeder's hat on you then, what race would you run him in?
It's probably not what you want to hear. I probably wouldn't go, if I'm being totally honest. It's really, I think, having been on the other side, having been a trainer before, I understand, why owners would want to go to Cheltenham and whatever. And I think if you're all of a sudden going to contemplate from going from 2 miles to 3 miles, probably, I agree with what you were saying before, Ruby. To go from 2 miles to 3 miles, he's already won a Grade 1 over 2.5. The pedigree probably suggests that's the direction he'd be going in as well. To then all of a sudden step back up to 3 miles, I think is not ideal preparation. So if I was being totally honest, I probably wouldn't go.
Just when I'm thinking about it, I rode Comanche Court in the Arkle, and his next start, he bolted in the Irish National.
He doesn't want to hear that.
So it does work. I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, I'm right, and I agree, it'd be impossible to settle him. And then I'm thinking, hang on, you rode Comanche Court in the Arkle, and his next start was the Irish National. So actually, you can just step up and trip, no problem.
Tell me about what you were thinking, the mating that brought about Romeo Coolio, and what he was like as a youngster.
Well, the mating was quite simple, really. Cave Tara was in this country. To be honest, I bought her with a foal at foot, which unfortunately Ian Ferguson bought privately, and thought an awful lot of it. And they lost him. He had a tumour on his spine. He was by Marteline, when I bought her, I bought that at foot, and she was in foal to Great Pretender, who was actually Ascending Lark. And we sold both the foal at foot and Ascending Lark relatively well. And so I thought, well, she's bred two gorgeous foals. Why not just keep it simple? Go to the best and most commercial stallion in the country is the sort of plain simplicity of it all, really. No great science behind it. And he was just the most gorgeous foal in every way, temperament, looks. Just, I don't know. He's kind of been he's been an amazing horse all the way through because he was so obvious as a foal. He's so good looking. He was a very easy sale at home. We got well paid. JD Moore, who actually, when I bought Miss Bailey the mare, he organised a trip around France when we bought her. He then came back and bought Romeo Coolio for Nick Brown, who you'll know Nick Brown. Nick Brown Racing has racing syndicates, and he was part of a pinhooking syndicate, I think, for him. So he made his money. Then Donica Doyle had him, and he liked him all the way through, and they've been well paid. And then the owners who forked out an awful lot of money for him have been well rewarded with 4 Grade 1s already. So if only life were that simple all the time.
Let's go back through everything you've done in the sport, because it is so much. And you rode as an amateur rider. A couple of times you won the 4-miler on Hunter Chase Night at Cheltenham. You've ridden a few times in the Foxhunters at the festival as well. What are your reflections on those days? I
suppose I was relatively late into race riding. I was a typical boy, away at school from a young age. I went to rugby school, played a lot of rugby, just loved playing sport, and would just come home and just jump on my sister's pony, as long as it was groomed, tacked up and whatever. I'd just, having not sat on a horse for probably a year, just go hunting. And then one day I came back from school and I wasn't getting any bigger. I said to my parents I'd like to have a go at race riding, and they nearly fell through the floor, really. So they always had pointer pointers. Then foot and mouth came, so that missed a year. And then I was at the Cirencester Royal Agricultural College and didn't spend much time studying, which most people that know me wouldn't be surprised by that, and was riding out every morning and playing rugby in the afternoons, and then would come home, play football on a Saturday and go racing on a Sunday. And then I just grew... I got fascinated in the breeding side, or the pedigree side, and my parents' great friends were Richard and Sally Aston of Golfers Stud, and they're not far away. And so an interest grew from there, and so then we started pin hooking. We were training pointers. I went to work for Donald McCain as assistant trainer, did my trainer's licenses, and had to go from there. But I mean, winning at Cheltenham twice was amazing. It's actually been a really lucky track for me. The first time I won there, was on the horse that I trained. Actually, I was still at Donald McCain's at the time, and I'd ride the horse in my lunch hour. It was meant to be lunch 2 hours, but always seemed to work a lot of overtime for Donald.
This was Hip Pocket, was it?
This was Hip Pocket, yeah. So he was an old horse, and he had lots of problems. And to be fair, my mum used to train pointer pointers, and so we trained them together. And she's pretty good at looking after old wrecks, really like him. And I remember being second, I think it was at Ludlow one day, and I came back into work at Donald's, and Ginger was there at the time, and he was amazing. You know, I walked in and Ginger said to me, "Well done yesterday. Keep going, boy. You'll win one with him next." And sure enough, he won next time out. So that was pretty mega. And then winning on Special Portrait was a amazing story too, because he was trained by a chap called Mark Hughes, who used to train in his sort of. He had a milk. He was a milkman and a bin man, and the reason he did that was because he could get up early, go and do that, and then train his horses on his little small holding, or his 2 horses that he had, and the rest of the day, and that was his love. And he bought the horse from off Lord Daresbury actually, and was trained by David Easterby, and didn't pay much for him. I picked him up as a spare ride, and we never looked back. And to go on that journey for someone like that was be part of it was amazing, really. I just feel sorry for the jockey that got off the horse on Easter Saturday at the Vale of Luna, I think it was. So amazing story, and to go and win there for him was just absolutely mega.
So did you kind of fall into training and intend to pursue breeding, or was it the other way around?
Well, we were farmers, and I think the race. I knew when I started to race ride that I wanted to do something within the industry. I got interested in the pedigrees, and then obviously we trained pointers, and I thought about potentially training under rules one day. Hence, I went to work for Donald, did my trainers modules. I was riding more and more and getting better rides for better trainers. So that had to take a bit of a back step when I went to Donald's, because obviously you were so busy all the time. And then we did National Hunt breeds up horses when that was a thing for a few years, and we did quite well with those. And then that market fell to pieces. And then I'd done my trainers' licenses, and then we started training because basically we had some horses stores that we couldn't sell or hadn't sold, or they hadn't made enough, and we'd been selling horses and they'd gone on and done quite well. So that's kind of how it started. And then I said, well, with that crop of horses, we'll give it a go. But if it's not financially viable in a few years, I'm not too proud to pull the plug. And just listening to Eddie saying you need £1 million, well, I didn't have £1 million. But we did really well, and I loved what we did, and it was amazing. But it was soon clear that it wasn't a career financially viable, and many will say that neither is national hunt breeding. So maybe I'm just a fool.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone would say that, because what you definitely do have is an eye for a really good broodmare. Tell us about the calibre of horses that you've managed to get hold of.
We've in partnership with a lot of friends and partners, really, and I think having done well with the first few, and people saw the interest and you know what, just the fun you can have as well. I think when you breed one or you pinhook one, you're part of that horse's journey. You know, you've spent a lot of time nurturing them or doing whatever, and you know that's with you forever. So when you go on and see them have success elsewhere, it's really, it's an amazing sense of achievement, I suppose, even though you don't own them. So that'll never leave you, and that's what I tell anybody that ever breeds or pinhooks or whatever. You may not have that horse, it may not be in your colours, but believe you me, you can get an amazing sense of achievement from it. And I think some of my friends did that, so namely Ross Alberto and David Greenway, who are co-owners of a few broodmares, so Limini, Stormy Island, and the reason we started was actually we started to try to set up a syndicate to race with a few friends. We had a bit of success with one horse. Second horse was probably inexpensive. Yeah, there's Stormy.
Recognise her anywhere.
Yeah, and I think actually in the background that's another future bloodstock mare as well. I think that's all risk. That's all risk for love. She is actually a no risk at all half sister to Teahupoo. So she's also a nice mare, very nice mare actually.
You've got some really well-related mares, haven't you, as well? You've got a half-sitter to Monkfish and one to Allaho as well. And I was asking you before whether you have a link-up with Willie Mullinshire, but originally you didn't have, did you?
No, not at all. I say we went to the sales. I'd actually been selling foals at Tattersalls in Ireland, and actually I came back on like the Wednesday night or whatever it was, and I spoke to Dave and Ross, and I said, look, if we're going to give this a go, let's go and try to buy some better mares together. You know, we can pool our money together and buy something better. So in the sale the next day was Camellia de Cotte and Limini, both out of Willie Mullins's yard, two very good mares. And the first one to go through the ring was Camellia de Cotte, so we thought, oh, well, we'll have a go at her, and there's no chance to be able to buy Limini. I couldn't believe it when I walked in to. So basically I flew back out the next morning and decided to go and have a go. And I saw the two horses there, Camellia de Cotte, great big mare, lovely mare. And then when I saw Limini, I was like, that can't be Limini. I thought she was a lot smaller than what she was. She was a proper decent sized mare, gorgeous looking, amazing temperament. She had a bit of an old injury on a off a hind leg, but that's never been too much of an issue. And anyway, Camilla de Cock went through, made 130,000 or something like that, which was a lot of money. And then I said, lads, you might as well stay on the phone. We'll watch Limini go through. And I had one bid at 75,000 and the hammer went down. And after, well, I say the hammer went down. It seemed an eternity to go down, but it did finally go down. And I remember... So the lads were just absolutely ecstatic, and then it was Cheltenham the next day, and I went to the sales, and the lads were just so excited because we had Limini, this amazing sort of household name, and that's how the kind of journey started from there. Really, she was in Foal to Australia as well, so that was a 30,000 cover inside her at the time. So that's how it kind of started, and I spoke to Joe Chambers, and then we bought a few other mares. And it just so happened that some of them seemed to be ones that were trained by Willie. And obviously we bought Stormy Island. We actually bought her during COVID online, and we bought her in the January. Funnily enough, the figure was 75,000 again. And we bought her, spoke to Noel Feely, so she was at Nichols's at the time. And we spoke to Noel, did a bit of research and whatever. And I said, well, lads, that kind of money. So I think she went through not sold, and then we did a deal, I think it was. And so people would pay that kind of money just to have a runner at Cheltenham or wherever. So we could do that. And we've got a few months to run her. We might as well. We're going to send her to Blue Brazil. So why don't we send her back to Willie's? So it was nothing against Paul Nicholls. It was just like change of scenery back to Willie's because we're going to cover her in Ireland. And then the rest is history, really. She ran in a grade. She was already a Grade 3 winner. And then, Ruby obviously would know all this. And Willie rang me about 2 weeks before she was going to run at Fairyhouse in the Grade 2 and said, oh, Will, she's actually just starting to be a bit like her old self. They'd taken nosebands off, put rubber bit in her mouth, and she won that. And then we're like, right, lads, let's shelve the breeding thing for another year. And then she went and won the Grade 1 at Punchestown, which was incredible, but it was COVID. And I remember, celebrating with Dave in the sitting room. We opened a tinny. And then we're like, right, back to the day job. It was just bizarre. And then, and we never thought we'd go to Cheltenham with her either. So she then ended up going to a Arkle Hurdle on New Year's Day, which was, again, amazing because it was the first time we'd seen her run in the flesh. And all friends and family were there. We didn't expect her to win. She was only there. We didn't force Willie we let Willie send her wherever he wanted. We didn't put any pressure on at all. In fact, we even said that Cheltenham wasn't her track. And she ended up winning there that day. And I can tell you, that was just the best day. Ross lives at Cirencester, not far away. Our kids came down. My dad drove the car. Dave Greenway's mum was in the car with us. And we ended up going back to Ross's till midnight with the kids and then driving all the way back to Cheshire. It was just, it was just one of those days. And, yeah, it was mega.
Well, I can just feel that sort of success just seems to be growing in waves for you. And I feel like, you've pinhooked Impervious and now you've got Romeo Coolio. All that I think remains is for me to wish you the very best of luck. Make sure you get there wherever he runs to see him in the race itself. And the very best of luck, Will. Thank you very much for spending the time to talk to us, your background, the background of Romeo Coolio, and particularly sharing those behind-the-scene pictures. Those were lovely. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
Best of luck.
I don't think the track suits the horses. Usually language or code for Willie Mullins to actually run it there.
It's kind of inevitable, isn't it? Yeah. In a few moments, well, we've heard what it is like to train a winner at the Cheltenham Festival. We've just heard what it's like to pinhook one, but also potentially to own one. Certainly have a horse that's run well there before and breed one in Romeo Coolio. In a moment, we're going to be hearing what it's like to lead one up.
It builds in the quiet, behind the eyes, in the chest, in the air, until it breaks free. Then the roar, the thunder, the passion, the upset, the glory, the joy, the legend. Nothing feels like Cheltenham.
So, There were lots of choices that we could potentially have gone to, but I'm particularly pleased that we're going to be talking to Erika Peciulyte, who joins us now, and she is the groom responsible for Teahupoo. Erika, thank you very much for sparing the time to talk to us. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
And tell us about the background. First of all, how long have you been at Gordon Elliott's yard, and when did you first start looking after Teahupoo?
I started working in Gordon's about 5 years ago, and I got the pleasure to start looking after Teahupoo about 4, roughly.
And how do you pronounce his name? Because he's always been a horse his name has been quite difficult to pronounce. Have I got it right in Teahupoo?
Yeah, a lot of different people pronounce it differently. I usually call him Teahupoo, but what the correct way is, I'm not too sure.
What's his stable name? What do you really call him?
Oh, he's got a tricky name. I actually don't have a stable
Oh, really?
name.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm used to...
No, bit less sentimental in Ireland. Call them by the right names in case you bring the wrong one racing.
OK, well, let's go back in the history with Teahupoo. What was it like when you first took him there? Were you with him when he went and ran in the Champion Hurdle?
No, actually, Katie Young used to look after him. She is now in Paddy Roach's, so I got the pleasure to start looking after him when she finished up in Gordon's about 4 years ago. So literally just when Robbie Power had retired, and that following season when he ran in the Hatton's Grace Hurdle, I got to get the pleasure to hold the reins.
And tell me what he's like. What is his character like?
He's a very quiet, genuine horse. Anyone could ride him. He's nothing flashy, nothing.
And is this you riding him at Cheltenham?
Look,
We're sort of seeing
yes,
you
correct.
sort of hacking. Is that at work?
Yeah.
Oh, here we are, an aid
the
tree.
gallops at Cheltenham that last. Yes. Now, unfortunately, he didn't run last year as the ground was way too quick for him, but he got the trip over.
How was he going?
He's very good. Me, Jack and Gordon are all pleased with him at this moment in time. He's fresh and well, so fingers crossed.
So tell me, talk me through what it's like to, travel to Cheltenham, looking after them, leading them up. Talk me through the whole experience of it.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. We have to treat each horse as an individual, of course. Each horse travels over differently. Some need extra care. Some are fairly straightforward. In saying some horses might sweat a bit more. Some horses might paw the box. Some horses might kick. Now, it's all fairly straightforward. And to be fair, we don't have too many tricky horses. So it's all just looked after by any of the staff in the yard,
And it sounds like he's a particularly straightforward one, but when you've got a horse that's won the Stayers Hurdle, he comes back year after year. He's obviously got a following in Ireland, but he's also got a following in Britain as well. So what's that feeling like when you enter the parade ring with a horse of that stature?
I can't say I get too nervous. He's a very cool horse. I actually find it exciting. The whole follow-up, the whole build-up, and especially the crowd in Cheltenham is massive. So especially the first year when I got to lead him up, he actually won it there 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, was unbelievable. There was a huge crowd and everybody cheering him in was something special.
And how did you take the defeats?
Look, I wasn't overly disheartened. He ran his race. He's a very genuine horse. He didn't do anything wrong. He jumped and he showed up. I'd never be disappointed in whatever way he ran as long as he's home safe.
Do you think he knows the difference between when he wins and loses? Is there any difference in him after a race?
I personally don't think so. I think he's always happy with himself, whatever he does.
That's the way to be, though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of his assets, though, that consistency, isn't it? The fact that he always turns up and does his job.
Oh, big time, big time. It's a horse of a lifetime sort of thing. To have a horse that just you bring to the races, and you can almost guarantee that'll show up, do you know.
And he's been campaigned slightly differently this season. You were able to go to Leopardstown at Christmas. What was that like? It was a really good performance.
Yeah, he was, dare I say, the career best. You know, it was unreal what he had done in Leopardstown, and yeah, the whole build up to it, we just treated it the same as any other race day he was going to go to, and he was very good.
And are you expecting him to win, is the $1 million question.
I was not sure. I didn't really think too hard about it. I left that to everybody else. I just made sure he looked good and got up there safely.
So when are you heading over? When are you making the journey?
Me and Teahupoo go out on Tuesday, and we will land really early Wednesday morning. So it'll be around 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to presume. And yeah, he'll be ready to rock on Thursday.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you and him on Thursday, looking proud and well in the parade ring beforehand, and hopefully in the winners' enclosure afterwards. Thank you very much, Erika, for giving some insight into looking after Teahupoo.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Right, I'm going to ask you to analyse something now, because we had an article from Lee Mottershead which I thought was quite interesting about the starts at the Cheltenham Festival. Last year's Cheltenham Festival, 35% of the starting procedures didn't work as they should. They've made a few changes, and you're going to have a look at the starts and compare the old and new course?
Yeah, and I think position is very different on both tracks. So we look at it how jockeys approach the start Tuesday and Wednesday compared to Thursday, Friday. And there is a difference, and it contributes to a lot of the false starts. And it's only when you look back at last year's races, you realise that of the 14 races ran on the old course, 13 of the horses jumped off with nothing in front of them. 13 of the winners. There was Copeck the board, nothing in front of him. Can go by down the inside in the Arkle, no horse in front of him. There was only 5 runners. Same goes for Meyertown in the Ultimate. Gets away in front with no traffic. And the key to that is, and they keep going. Here you have Lossiemouth, Jade de Grugy. Everyone else was following Lossiemouth, so it was easy anyway for Paul Townend on her. Then you had Golden Ace up on the outside in the Champion Hurdle. Was followed the next race by Put Your Hands Together, Mark Walsh, no one directly in front of him, and it rolls on to the 7th race, which was what race was this? The National Hunt Chase, and you had Horticolores on the outside. But the reason that is, on the old course, you need to get out and then fall into your position. Be it that you sit handy or you drop back, rather than starting at the back and trying to work your way forward, which you can do on the new course. And when you look at the horses then on Thursday and Friday, how different jockeys approach the start. The only horse that didn't go forward on the old course was the New Lion. There is the horse that won the Pertemps of Nicky's, dropped in at the back. Bob Bollinger walks out dead last. Can't do that on the old course. And that boils into the start. There you have Poneros in the Triumph, all right, he's a 100-to-1 shot, but Cargeese in the county does pretty much the same thing. Look at the ground Paul Townend gives away. So there's a huge difference to Tuesday, Wednesday to Thursday, Friday, and jockeys know that. Everyone is keen to get forward. There's Jasmine DeVoe at the very back in the Albert Bartlett, and that contributes to false starts Tuesday and Wednesday. People want to get forward and get a bit of daylight. Now, they've changed procedures and changed the rules, but not changed the rules, try to change the guidelines a little bit as to what's going to happen. I don't think it'll work. I think until they change the starting mechanism, you won't alleviate the false starts. OK,
let's talk about what they have changed. So the start for the Brown Advisory and the Kinmure have changed. There's an extra fence to be jumped in the Brown Advisory. The Brown Advisory is over a bit further. There's some rail alignments to help approach the start. Couple of clippings to field sizes, holding pen increase, and the distance between the marker poles and the tape have been increased from 2 to 5 yards. None of those things you think are going to have a positive impact? I don't think they will, because ultimately you're only talking about very small margins. So when you line up in the bunch, the horse on your right moves forward, you move with it. But you're moving to this horse and you're forcing the guy inside you or lady to move with you. And it's the ripple effects add up, and you end up then with horses charging. And I think that will happen. Until you change the mechanism, until you put the tape right in front of the horses and the tape moves and the horses follow it, then you'll alleviate false starts. Are you going to invent this? You could be the entrepreneur that sorts this out. No, it's not rocket science. I mean, it's only a roll in tape. I mean, you think of all the things they can do in the world to invent
a rolling start on a flyaway tape is not rocket science, but that will alleviate false starts because everyone lines behind it. The tape rolls forward, be it for 10 yards or 20 yards, starter pulls the trigger.
Get in your shed, I reckon, sort it out. You know, you could get the copyright on it. You know,
if someone cared, Lydia, it'd be done by now.
Well, this could be an amazing moment. You know, this could be the start of something beautiful.
No.
No, OK, it won't be. Let's have Dan Barber instead. Dan Barber always joins us for this show. Dan, welcome. How are you?
Literally in a shed. Can you believe that? What were the chances?
Well, Ruby wasn't biting at all. He doesn't want to create this new rolling start.
I don't have an engineering mindset, Dan, so there's no point in me tinkering in the shed.
How about you, Dan? Can you take up the cudgel here?
No, albeit it is something that got me deeply frustrated last season. Particularly the Maureen race. I felt like that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, hopefully. That's actually the one thing I hope the entire week.
Yeah, it was frustrating this time last year. Right.
I'll take false starts and we'll have good racing. So you can have no false starts and bad racing, but I'll take the false starts and good racing. That's what I'd like from them.
I also wasn't sure that Maureen didn't cause much of the problems herself. I don't know about you, but you clearly don't think that, Dan, so I'm going to change the subject. Right. I asked you to take a sort of sideways look at the festival and raise some things that you think are either important to highlight or themes. And we'll start talking about the sort of weighing up between opportunity and potential. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, it's fairly self-explanatory, but it's, as the graphic hopefully underlines, this is highlighting really the advantage that a horse has in terms of ratings when it's had the chance to increase its rating. This goes through all walks of racing life. This could be an easy maiden winner of a 2-year-old race who then runs in a group race and, unless running poorly, will advance its form significantly. And this is the key instance of this, I feel, this week, and it's a bit of pretty tried and trusted route, really. Nicky Henderson won the Game Spirit with Altior, he won at Sprinter Sacra. He's done the same with Lalamba, but here is the difference it made to the ratings, and Lalamba's gone from being the 3rd highest rated novice, albeit with a large P, Romeo Coolio and Carrigmornaspruce above, and then now he's at top of the shop by dint of that win against the older horses in the Game Spirit.
So he's just had the opportunity because of those well-established horses, highly rated horses, and so he's got the number, albeit there's still some potential, and the others haven't had that opportunity yet. And do you see this as the kind of race where we could actually get the setup where a horse actually puts in a very big performance in this Arkle?
Yeah, we could do, because Lalamba's almost something of an anchor to that, isn't he? He's already got a figure which is way above what a normal Arkle winner might run to. And if something surpasses his level, maybe 1 or 2 manage to do that, then we will potentially have a huge figure in place on that opening novice.
I was also thinking about Carrigmornaspruce and how there's been an argument made quite a bit that she's got the best hurdles form, but the only reason she's got the best hurdles form is she stuck around for a second season over hurdles, won the county, whereas the like of Kopek de Board, who put up that huge performance in the Supreme, you know, he's gone straight into chasing instead.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit of a feature, isn't it, with Supreme winners? Not many do stay around. A lot of them have been Henderson-trained chasing types who are sent over fences at the first available opportunity, and that might be one of the factors why the longer distance race, the 21 furlong novice, has arguably been a more compelling guide to a champion hurdle the following season.
OK, let's move on to Old Park Star and how he compares to other Nicky Henderson Supreme winners. Obviously, he hasn't quite done that yet.
No, he hasn't, but here's an indication as to where he lines up with those previous ones. He's equal with Nicky's, well, certainly this century, Nicky's premier winners of the race, Altior, Shishkin, Constitution Hill. He's above Constitution Hill, who obviously came from a relatively small race at Sandown. He's a perfect example of not having the opportunity to arrive with a big rating because he won a mere novice. Shishkin and Altior, both above Constitution Hill. And what better snapshot do you need of that? The best hurdler of that group, well, assuming Altior and Shishkin, given they didn't stay over hurdles, was actually rated inferior of the 4 going into the Cheltenham Festival. And classic case in point again of opportunity over potential is the small print at the bottom, because My Tent or Yours, Ruby may remember this, grey horse, pink colours, managed to fend off My Tent or Yours in 2013, and My Tent or Yours arrived at that festival with an astronomical rating for a novice because he'd been to a Betfair hurdle and clocked a huge figure winning that race.
And the best horse in the race finished third, being Jetski.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
Ultimately, what do the ratings mean? My Tent to Yours is a 168, he gets beaten. Constitution Hill's only a 148, and he wins by half the track. What are these ratings telling us exactly?
You may recognise a theme here about Ruby and ratings, Dan.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like the whole system of horse racing doesn't absolutely rely on the rating of horses, which it clearly does.
I know.
Thankfully, it relies on the official ones and not made-up ones like Timeforms.
Oh, the cheek. 1948, Rubes.
Do you want to talk about the last one, or not? Should we just
No, go on, I'm interested, yeah.
OK, all right.
I'm looking for the lowest rated horse here to find a winner.
Dan, over to you.
Yes, this is sort of TRWs, we'd call them, colloquially, if you've ever bought a Timeform race car. Timeform rating of winners in terms of what they had to run to in order to win their particular championship race. We left the Gold Cup out because it felt a bit, you had the last 3 winners of the race, so what's it really going to tell us? But if Lossiemouth goes for the champion hurdle, or the New Line obviously is bound to, they would have won 3 of the last 5 based on their ratings already that they've achieved. The champion chase, Madgeburg would have won 5 in a row, and indeed, if you'd have extended that beyond the 5 years, he'd have won every one going back to Altio in 2016. Teahupoo, 5 of the last 5 Stayers hurdles. He was obviously one of those winners. He would have won with his pre-race rating because we credited him with some improvement with his route at the DRF. And then Factofile, who probably is something of a standout in that Ryanair, because you can go back a decade to Vator, another horse wearing pink silks that the man to your left-hand side knows fairly well. Every one of those renewals, bar 2, and those 2 renewals were won by Allaho, who was a high 170s chaser, would have been won by Factofile if he just reproduced the rating that he's got going into it. Those ratings, of course, Ruby, they're just so reliable, dependable, and you can set your watch by them.
Yep. Find the lowest one with a P in the Supreme and you might have the answer.
I don't recommend that as a way forward. Dan, I'm going to get you to take your Timeform hat off, metaphorically, and give us your personal Dan Barber best bet of the week next week.
I'll go for a couple of it, if you don't mind. One of the at the front end, I think we're not seeing the wood for the trees so far as the New Line's concerned, and one for a handicap, Bold Endeavour, given a real chance by the BHA, now back with Nicky Henderson, encouraging reappearance, and he was 4th in the race last year off a much higher mark.
OK, Dan, thank you very much for your thoughts and your input as ever. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, likewise. And to Ruby too. There's a hug there for him as well. See ya.
See ya. I thought you'd enjoy that section.
Yeah, riveting. I know it is, but look, ratings are opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, you do them by match. You even go to say, like, Carrigmornaspruce's hurdle form is stronger. Like, Carrigmornaspruce's hurdle form is nowhere near stronger than Kopek the Board Supreme.
I agree.
But maths, if you want to go by it, and you go through a county hurdle, you add it up, can make it there. If you want to do it by maths, you can get the result you want. If you want to go by your eye, you get a different result.
But it's also to do with the structure. You have to factor in the structure of the races as well, as Dan was saying, in that, you know, you have to have the opportunity to run those ratings. And some horses have a huge ability, and, you know, that you don't actually see it until it becomes, you know, properly tested.
Yeah, but that's when you handicap purely by maths. So you say, hang on, that horse won by 2 lengths, he's beaten that horse rated 130, therefore we can only give him 132. When you actually think, actually, if one was so much in hand, I'm going to give it 142 because that's what my eye tells me.
What, just to kind of, is there any horse that you've been thinking about in the last sort of few days where you've started to think, actually, I fancy this horse more and more? Or and conversely, are there any that you've kind of gone off in the last few years?
No, I tell you what, I've not gone off, but I do think looking through the cross-country races, the ground is drying. I think Fakir Dudari at 25 to 1. He was a mid 160 horse at one point. He's down to the mid 140s now. And I think when you're looking at handicapping, the cross country is probably the race with the least amount of unexposed horses, because no younger types try it. It's all the older horses that are exposed, and handicapping one coming down might actually pay off. I thought he ran well behind Vanillier in Punchestown, and I thought at a big price he was catching my eye of late.
Do you think he'll stay?
I think he will, yeah.
Okay, because of they don't go the sort of
they
conventional
can do. It depends.
pace.
Depends. You get the odd front runner in there. It can be an end-to-end. It can be run both ways, as every race can. But I just thought he was interesting at a huge price.
Okay. All right, let's turn to our next guest, shall we? And I'm delighted to say that we're joined by Declan Queally, who's had a fantastic season. Declan, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Good, how are you?
Really well, really well. You've got 3 horses, you and your dad, running at Cheltenham this week. The obvious place to start with is with I'll Sort That, and that fantastic success at Naas. And I wonder whether you'll reminisce about that for us and how the race went for you.
It was a very special day for the yard. It all went to plan today. The horse turned up in good shape, and I put in a great performance. And it's a day we'll never forget, myself and my father and the rest of the family. It was a brilliant day to get a Grade 1 winner for the yard.
He's so tough, this horse. He was giving you everything in the closing stages, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's very, very tough. He doesn't know when to stop galloping. He's after winning 5 hurdles this race. He's won 7 races in a year. Just an extraordinary horse. For his pedigree and his sire, he's probably, I suppose you call him, a freak of nature for a yard like us. So we're pinching ourselves every day that we have him. It's very special.
And we just cut off before you saw the yawning gap to the third as well in that race. I mean, that was proper form. But Ruby, I know going into this race, you were wondering about I'll Sort That jumping.
I loved him in Listowel when he won his maiden hurdle. I thought Declan rode him, he jumped out and went, and it was a hell of a performance back in September time. But he did kick 1 or 2 out of it in Navan, late on especially. And under pressure, Declan, would you have any worries about him? He just can, that's all right when he bunny hopped early in the race, but late in races, when the chips are down, he does seem to get a bit flat-footed.
Yeah, I suppose, look, you might forgive him. 2 days, like Navan, that ground that day, I don't think anything really jumped great. So he jumped very well in Listowel. So, look, I think in slightly better ground, maybe going a bit faster, you might give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, look, it will be in the back of your head that jumping might be a small worry. So, look, we just have to see how it goes. We have schooled him a little bit, and I think maybe back on better ground, he might be okay.
And he's in the Turners, he's in the Albert Bartletts. Have you definitely made a decision which way you're going to go?
I think we've decided we go for the Turners. So David is just saying like that. The Albert Bartlett can be a tough horse, a race on horses. So we've made our decision. I think we go for the Turners and leave it at that.
What's your instinctive response, Ruby?
It's all about jumping for him. I think he's a horse with a huge engine that'll stay all day. Personally, I just think going a little bit further, going a bit slower, you have a bit more time to organise yourself. But look, Declan's training him, he's schooling him, and they have to make the decision.
He's just a tremendous horse. I mean, you must be so proud having him. And then there's another horse in your yard that I absolutely love, and that's the mare Carrigmornaspruce. Reflect on what she's done this season.
Yeah, she's had a great season. Won a maiden hurdle. Had a small blimp playing against Mares in Down Royal. We think maybe we gave her a piece of work or two too many for that, and we freshened her up for a Grade 1 in Leopardstown and put in a great performance against Gelding. So we said we'd stick with a similar type plan again, and we gave her 2 months again to our next race in Cheltenham, and we feel like we have her pretty right going into this. She's a strong traveller, great jumper, and I think she'll run a big race in this.
We're seeing her here run against Skylight Hustle at Christmas at Leopardstown. And of course, Talk the Talk comes down at the last. But what I really liked about your mare is just how she sticks to her task. She really does try all the way to the line, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. And Leopardstown that day was 2 miles. So you're going up another furlong, it's 2-1. dropping back in against Mares, back in a Grade 2. So, look, there's been a lot of tipsters tip her at 20 to 1. So, she's got a great chance. I think if maybe Gordon or Willie had her, she'd probably only be 8 or 9 to 1. So, we're delighted with her. Her form is strong, and should have a great chance going over there. Delighted to have her going.
You've ridden her both ways, Declan, but in her bumpers you always took your time on her. The new course in Cheltenham, dropping her in would suit her. Would you be planning on taking your time with her?
James Bowen's booked to ride her. Now, we haven't made any... She's changed ownership as well. Victorious Racing have bought her. Look, we haven't made any plans on how we're going to ride her, so we'll just have to see how things go. But I'd imagine we'd be sitting in 3/4 of back. Like, how many run the race?
22.
You think there'll be a full field, yeah?
I think they will, yeah. It usually is. Usually a big field, but as often suited horses coming from off the pace.
It's probably going to be a little bit tricky, all right, like for coming from that far back. But if they went a right good gallop, I suppose you could sit in the back of mid division there, and once he has cover and he's towards the inside and she can't see anything, I don't think you have any problem settling her as long as they're going to gallop, which they should be.
And it's the Bahraini outfit Victorious Racing that has bought her. How did that come about?
Jerry McGrath just gave me a call and asked us if we'd any interest in selling her, and I rang the owners, Tom McCarthy and Mickey Veal, and they said they would, and the deal was done, and it was all put through pretty quick. And Tom and Michael have had a great spin with the mare. She won 3 bumpers and a maiden hurdle for them, and they're delighted to let her go, and they're going over to see her running, so it'll be all guns blazing and everyone will be supporting her in Waterford. It's a big thing for the county, so really looking forward to it.
Absolutely fantastic. So she'll be running in the Dawn Run. Victorious Racing, of course, have already had a Royal Ascot winner. Can they add a Cheltenham Festival winner to their tally? And are you running Tackle Tommy Woo in the Albert Bartlett?
Yeah, he'll run as well. He had a small setback after a good autumn. He got a small injury and he got a bit sick as well. So he had to recover from a virus. So he was probably a little bit short going to the DRF, and all his form is on good ground. So look, I think he had very good form in the autumn. He definitely deserves to go. He's got a rating, I think the UK rating of 140, so he gets into the race, say, with a nice high rating, and he's a very big price now after a blimp the last day. But you have to forgive a horse for a bad run like that on very bad ground. So look, we'll be riding him to come home. We'll ride a patient race, and they're 3/4 of the way back, and hopefully he'll be doing his best work to finish.
And what's it like? I mean, all three of them have a shout of sorts, don't you think? How does that feel on the eve of the festival?
Well, look, you're just taking it day by day. You're hoping nothing goes wrong. It's nervous working them and that, because like you've only got. It's not like we can kick 100 balls into the goal. Like we've only got the 3, so you're just praying every day that nothing goes wrong. But touch wood, everything is running very smoothly. Sort that and Tackle Tommy do a small little bit of work tomorrow. The mare's finished her work. She doesn't take much work, so once tomorrow goes smoothly, it will only be a small little bit of work. They're leaving on Sunday, and look, it's the biggest show on earth, isn't it, as far as racehorses, and it's nice to be a part of it, and it'd be a dream if we could get a winner. It'd be unbelievable.
Well, fingers crossed everything continues to go smoothly. I look forward to seeing all 3 of them run. Very, very best of luck to you and your dad.
Thank you. Thanks, bye.
Great to talk to him. I mean, it's been such a significant season for that yard. I mean, they've had so many horses running so well. Yeah,
and like they started them so early. When you look at other yards, I mean, Carrigmornaspruce and I'll Sort That both won in the stole back in September time, and they've been on the go. And it's great to listen to them. Like, think we gave her too much work going to the north. That's the excuse for that. Changed tack to Christmas when she ran so well. And she's a very good mare. She's a really good bumper mare last year as well. Carrigmornaspruce. She'd probably be the one of the 3 I would probably fancy the most. I think I'll Sort That's a hell of a good racehorse, but I just worry about him jumping.
Yeah, but I suppose with them going to the Turners, you make the argument that if you have got a horse that perhaps can throw in the odd bad one, the Turners is the place to be.
I think that's why you'd be in the Albert Bartlett. Faheen could trot out through them in the Turners, but not too many others.
So if you're a speedy Turner,
like in the Supreme, you got to jump all 8. In the Turners, you have to jump the last 3. And in the Albert Bartlett, well, Jasmine DeVoe won that.
Enough said. Absolutely enough said. But it was that run at Naas there was such a good one. That, you know, Satuda did really well to get to him, but I underestimated that horse going into the Ballymore.
Yeah, I probably did too. But as I said to you, he did. And we showed him back, one of the very first shows we came on, we showed him in the stall. It was a hell of a performance in the stall.
OK, well, from one jockey having a fantastic season to another, Tristan Durrell is joining us now. Tristan, you've been riding at Haydock today, haven't you? Thank you very much for joining us. It's going to be a long day for you. How are you?
Hi, Lydia. Hi, Ruby. Yeah, no, just got back from Haydock now, so yeah, no, all good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we're absolutely delighted to have you on. You can give us some insight to some of the horses that you're riding. You were just telling us about the book of rides that you've got. It looks really good. I mean, you must be excited, aren't you?
Yeah, it's amazing for me. It's the, it'll be the best team that Dan's gone to war with at Cheltenham this year, and it's great to be a part of it. I've kind of ridden second to Harry most of the time this season, and yeah, it's been phenomenal, and it's really, it's great opportunities, and yeah, I'm pleased to have a nice book of rides at Cheltenham as well.
And it must have given you a lot of confidence to hear Dan and Harry talk about your riding, and how massively you've progressed, and not only just saying those warm words, backing it up, as you say, with actually significant rides.
Yeah, definitely. It's brilliant riding there most days. I don't think I'm there on the Thursday, but yeah, it's great to have a few rides, and yeah, hopefully have a bit of luck anyway.
Well, let's run through them. Should we go chronologically? You've got Boom Born, haven't you, in the plate on Tuesday? How are you approaching that in your mind?
Yeah, I'd imagine probably take my time on him a bit. I don't know how I want him ridden yet, but that's absolutely brilliant to have a ride on the first day in the plate. We've got Madara running in it with a great chance. So yeah, it'd be nice to see Boomborn run well and try and run into the places. Would be great.
And do you feel he's in good form going into the race?
Yeah, he is. He had a run the other day, and he's in great form. He'll like the ground. It looks like it's going to be good to soft, and he'll like that. And yeah, it's a good ride to have and pick up. Now,
I, for my sins, I do not follow bumpers closely, but what can you tell me about the sketcher who runs in the bumper?
Yeah, he's actually a really nice horse. He did it well at Ayr when first time out for us in his bumper, and the owners were really keen to go to Cheltenham with him. So yeah, I think we'll have a few run in the champion bumper, and again, it's great to get the opportunity, and I'm pleased to be riding him.
And what horse do you think he's going to grow into? What kind of trip is he going to need? How do you see him?
He's probably definitely a staying chaser in time, 2.5, 3 mile chaser. Kind of bumpers were just really for his experience and going through the motions. But it's great to have him, have him win the other day at Ayr, and to have him going to Cheltenham. It's great for the owners and everyone involved. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, get that experience. Now, a horse I do know about and like very much, and I think he's improving, is Soldier Reeves, and he's going for the Turners. Is that right?
Yeah, so I rode him last time at Haydock behind a good horse.
Old Park Star.
Yeah. So no, I think the step up in triple definitely suit him. He's improving all the time. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him over that trip. I think he's a big price, and he could be a bit of a dark horse really at that price. I think he'll surprise everyone and run quite well, hopefully.
Yeah, I think he's improving and learning all the time. I think you can see that. Give us a feel of how good that race was, because clearly Old Park Star had already got a big reputation going into that race, but it only became bigger coming out of it. And did you feel the level of his superiority, or do you feel that Soldier Reeves is actually, can, obviously not going to be racing each other, but can make some strides against him comparatively?
Yeah, probably two quite different horses. I mean, that day really for us showed that he wanted the step up in trip. He was outpaced early. Those sort of fractions didn't suit him, and then he's come home up the straight very, very strongly and nearly ran into second in the end. So yeah, it felt like a very good race, and it's obviously a very good horse, and yeah, we were pleased with our lad, and that definitely indicated that we wanted to go for the Turners with him and step up in trip.
If I told you Harry Skelton couldn't ride one horse in Dan's next week, and you could ride it, what horse would it be?
The New Lion.
No offers.
Yeah, I think straight away. I mean, like I say, we've got a brilliant team going. You know, the likes of Panic Attack, who won on earlier in the season. She's got a great chance. We've got so many chances. You know, even Ludusud's got a brilliant chance, and yeah, I mean, the New Lion would be the first one that sprung to mind for obvious reasons. I think it's probably our best chance, and yeah, that'd be the one I'd probably put my hand up for first.
Right then, you're conditional, so that's a grade 1. You can't ride in it. We're making new rules. One and a handicap for people who really want to know. One that you've hidden away there somewhere.
One I think would run really well is probably Supremely West in the Pertemps.
Lydia saw him in Cheltenham. One has been hiding.
Yeah. Another one.
Oh no, I'm only slagging. Supremely West, you think he'll win the Pertemps. And what are you going to ride in the Martin Pipe? A Pas de Nom, is it?
A Pas de Nom, yeah. He's going to go to the Martin Pipe. Again, an improving horse. Started off at Newton Abbot and did that nicely, and then he's just progressed, ran really well in the Lanzarote, and he's won over that distance at Cheltenham as well. So everything's looking good for him. I think he's a good candidate for that race, and he's going there with a great chance. So good to be on him as well.
And finally, how about Panic Attack? You've already mentioned that you were obviously triumphant on her at Newbury. She's had a fabulous season. She's been an absolute revelation. It may not finish at Cheltenham. It may go on to Aintree as well. What do you make of her chances in the Mares' Chase?
Yeah, she's got a great chance. She's just she's improving all the time. She was amazing that day when I rode her. Another great ride to pick up, and my biggest career win. So she's been amazing this season. She's just stepped up, and she's just improving all the time. When Harry got off her the other day, when he got off her at Newbury the other day, and I saw his interview, and he was blown away by her. I couldn't believe how much she's just improving at her age as well. So I think she's got a great chance. Yeah.
Well, it's been a fantastic season for you as well, and what would be more fitting to add than to add a festival victory to the tally this season. Very best of luck, Tristan, with all of the horses that you ride, but also more widely to the team.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. So, we have one more guest left to join us, and that is Kelly Morgan. She'll be with us shortly.
I would love if Paul Towland realised he cannot, no chance win the Gold Cup and Galloping Champ. Literally none. None.
Oh, clip that bit. Literally no chance.
No chance. No chance win the Gold Cup.
So we always like to dive into the Foxhunter at this episode of Road to Cheltenham, and that's what we're about to do with Kelly Morgan. This is a fascinating race. We used to have Jonathan Neeson, the late great Jonathan Neeson, talking to us about it, and it seems fitting that our guest trained the winner of the Jonathan Neeson Memorial Race at Cheltenham's Hunter Chase evening.
I would say it is fitting and a right guest to have. It's a great race. It's my first memory of the Cheltenham Festival is the Foxhunters, and I could never figure out why. I know why. I could remember Dad winning on Attitude Adjuster, but why I couldn't remember Dawn Run winning the Gold Cup is because in '86 the Foxhunters was before the Gold Cup.
Was it?
Yeah. I only saw that last week. Right. Obviously never watched the Gold Cup after Attitude Adjuster had won, but there you are.
Right, okay.
It's a useless bit of information.
Well, thank you very much. It's a bit of trivia for us. It's always useful. I think Kelly can join us now. Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. It is lovely to see you again. I haven't seen you since the winner's podium on that evening in May when you won with Music Drive, the Jonathan Neeson Memorial. Let's start there. What are your memories of that day and the way the horse won? When I looked at it again, I couldn't believe how far the distance between the first and the second was in the end.
Yeah, no, he's a real out-and-out stayer. And Gina gave him a fantastic ride. I felt a little bit bad for poor Ellie Corwood, who is his normal rider, who picked up a ban at Aintree, so she couldn't ride him. But I thought he was really impressive that day, and his jumping was much more professional than he was at the festival. I think it probably first run when he ran at the festival was obviously his first time over regulation fences, which was a big ask. Probably slightly bold of me to go and do that. But when you've got a horse that's been quite fragile, I think you've got to sort of aim high. And I knew he'd got the engine in there. But obviously, yeah, paid dividends, and we took our time, just went straight to the Hunter Chase evening, and obviously won the Jonathan Newsom Mixed Open final, so that was fantastic.
It was, and we'd got pasties for the winning rider, trainer, owners, and groom. Did you eat all those? Were they good?
The funniest thing was around the yard. Obviously, I have my own yard and my sister's got hers, and all of us for the next week were walking around eating warm pasties.
I can't tell you how proud Jonathan would be. I mean, honestly. And the other thing that he was really tickled by were the owners managing to drop part of the trophy as well. He would have loved that. There's a bit on the... I was just about to say, it's in two parts. Oh.
That's it, it's happened plenty of trophies.
It has. Right, so you were saying that, tell me about Music Drive as a character and how you've come to know the horse better and get the best out of him.
He's a very laid-back character. He only sort of does what he's got to do. I probably left him a little bit undercooked when we went for his prep run. He had a run in a point-to-point. It was a 4-runner race, and he actually got beat that day. Finished second, but it was I think second slowest time of the day. Just a bit of a muddling race. And I think last year I had the pressure of trying to get him qualified, so we had to get 2 wins in. So I probably had him stripped ready to go, whereas this year, pressure's off. We're going, let him have a run round and wrap him up in cotton wool. He's had a couple of racecourse gallops now in between, and he's ready to rumble. So no, I couldn't be any happier with him.
I have to say, Kelly, you're sounding quite confident.
I don't know about this weather that's doing me. The girls keep laughing at me because I've been walking around the yard with the weather on my phone the whole time. It's been doing my... I think if it stayed dry and it was good ground, I would like to hope he'd run a big race. He loves Cheltenham. He's ran there 5 times. I think the only time he's not been in the winner's enclosure is in the champion bumper when he sort of finished mid-div. But, he's got some rock-solid form, loves the track, and I'd like to hope if he's improved for the fact that he's obviously now got a bit more experience, I'd like to hope he'd go and run his race.
Do you feel he has improved?
I do. I feel like physically he's improved. And also it was Ellie Corwood's first ride in the race as well last year. I stood by. She's a very, very good young girl. She'll obviously ride him again this time. And I think just my one thing would be he slightly lost his position over the first few, and you've got to be worldly wise, and I think that was where his sort of lack of experience last year did show. And he lost his spot, and he stayed on like an absolute steam train up the hill, but it was all a bit too late. So I'm hoping this year, like I say, sort of a couple more runs under his belt, and I might pop some cheap pieces on him. I'm not sure, not because I think he's ungenuine in any way. He's not. He's the most genuine horse you'd meet, but I think just to help her in the early part of the race to hold a position.
Would you think this year's race is better than last year's, as good, weaker?
I think it's wide open, to be perfectly honest. I don't think there's any standout. But listen, it all depends on the ground. I actually thought the Martin Brazel horse, I thought that was Panda Boy. I think he's a fair animal, and he's got sort of a lot of experience in some big runner handicaps and big races. So he's sort of quite worldly wise, but I'd say he'd want a bit of dig in the ground. So depends whether we get any rain or not. I'm hoping we don't.
Well, I mean, fingers crossed. So far, so good from the look of things for all the weather apps, but I know everyone has their own favourite one. Thank you so much for joining us, Kelly, and best of luck. Hopefully you can add to Topwood's victory at Aintree with Music Drive winning at Cheltenham. A fantastic extension to your CV. Very best of luck. I hope everything goes well, and I hope the weather gods play fair with you.
Thank you very much.
So,
when you look at his profile, he's entitled to be a better horse this year.
Yeah, definitely he is. And I tell you what, when I watched the Jonathan Newsom race back again, I hadn't realised how much distance he put between him and the runner-up, because there was one point where I thought it was going to be close, and then in the end it absolutely wasn't.
And that only poor run was behind Facile Vega on heavy ground as well.
I think he's got a chance. I hope so, anyway. It's been an eclectic load of guests this evening, hasn't there?
Good people to hear from.
It has been, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It really has. I hope you've enjoyed something a little bit different from Road to Cheltenham this Thursday. We will have our final Cheltenham Road to Cheltenham of the series on Monday, so make sure you join us. It is live at 10 a.m. It'll be on for 2 hours. We're going to be joined, as ever, by Nick Luck, and he'll be out in the centre of the track grabbing interviews. And Ruby and I are going to go through all of the graded races and also any strong views that we have in the handicap and, you know, pick out things out in forensic detail.
Yeah, we'll have declarations and there'll be decisions made by then and people will be stopped giving out.
Absolutely. It won't be like the yakety yak from the preview scene. We'll know some stuff by then. Make sure you join us 10 a.m. on Monday for Road to Cheltenham. Thank you for watching.
Paddy Power, sponsors of the Road to Cheltenham.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.